Yes. So, I mean, I could probably sit on the floor, but I just want to show it. Now, a block can be quite sensational for your sits bones here. And be really mindful to not sit too far forward on the block, because I don't want that edge of the block pushing in right where your hamstring connects to your sits bone. We want to be super mindful of that. You want to sit a little further back. And a block is really not the ideal thing, to be honest. I just have a block right now. Pillow is better, bolster is better. And we're going to find our anterior tilt. So pelvis tilting back, that's the soup bowl spilling towards our face if we were lying on our backs. And then pulling the sits bones down into the block, and behind us is going to find our little forward bend here, right? Or anterior tilt, 6 o'clock, soup spilling away. I have to go through all my images here. So little anterior posterior tilt. Now the left sits bone is going to be much heavier than the right sits bone. The higher you sit, the more you will find an even pressure probably, which is okay. But if your right hip is up right now, don't just jam it down and then you create some deviation or some bending in the spine. We will get to that. So just one more time, posterior tilt, pelvis pushes the block or the blanket forward, and then the anterior tilt, the pelvis pulls the block, the blanket backward. And then we'll stay in that. And then I'm going to take your hands to your ribs, and then we're going to soften the ribs a little bit. Yes, it's going to take my spine a little forward. It's going to take my head a little forward. But we have to become more and more aware and starting to like. The brain just doesn't like it because you're never there. And we associate head forward with, oh, no, this doesn't feel good. It's not that we want to be here. Don't misunderstand me. It's more, we want to be more aware of what's happening here in the rib cage. I'm lengthening my low back and I'm toning my obliques here. I'm toning my abdominals to allow for my ribs to be on my pelvis in our new way. The old us is leaning back, let's say, and the new us is leaning slightly forward. And feel that. It should be core, it should be glute a little bit. Just take 1 or 2 big breaths and feel that. It's the same thing we did lying on our backs, the same core engagement. It's really not more than that. And we'll get to a little more core engagement in a little bit. I'm going to give us 5 extra bonus minutes today, or maybe a little more. All right, so here we are. And then we're going to take, so the left hip is heavy. My left foot is in front. Let's go for a side bend to the right. And you don't even have to reach the left hand up. You can have the left hand on your shoulder. But what we're doing here is we're going to move the spine. We're shifting the ribs a little bit to the left. I'm really engaging my left butt down, and my head can gently arc to my right ear to my right shoulder. My right hand can support it slightly on the floor, or it can be lifted. I'd say actually don't touch your hand down. And you can have both hands on your upper arm bones here. Little chicken wings, and then slowly coming back up. We're going to shift the ribs to the left, and we're going to side bend to the right. Now the head is the last vertebrae of my spine. Can I make it not just collapse down, but can I continue the arc that I'm creating here? Maybe from, a little bit above my belly button, all the way over to the right. I'm not collapsing down on my right side. I'm lengthening both sides, but I'm not stretching my left side. I'm really engaging my left glute and my left quadratus here. to not just go wherever. Let's turn the head, look over your right shoulder, push down into both legs to come up. Ooh, and let's do one more. Shift the ribs to the left, side bend to the right, both knees working down. Imagine you wanted to come off the block. That's how much work you're going to get into this, into your legs here. And then turn your head, look over the right shoulder, lengthening the spine, softening the kidneys back. Notice you might have been already in extension here again. Can I stay a little more forward and feel my belly doing its job here? Slowly push down into the legs to come up and release. And just feel that. Close the eyes for a second. Wow. No stretching, right? Let's stick the right foot in front of the left foot. Sit here for a moment, and you might have to put that foot further away from the pelvis. Bring it as close to the pelvis as possible, sticking the sits bones back. You can hug your hands into your shin and push your right foot down into the floor. Reach your left knee away from your hip and pull at the same time your thigh bone into the hip socket and breathe. So here we're working deep knee flexion, deep hip flexion. Let the head spin round and round, side to side. We're not locking our neck and head because we're working below, actually working below and grounding below pelvis, legs, belly is going to actually allow for a little more turn above. All right, so let's switch sides. Maybe come to a block squat. We did that last week, right? Sitting on a block like this, or on 2 blocks, right? Do that every day. If you want to supercharge your physical performance, whatever that looks like, do that. All right, right foot goes back. No, left foot goes back, right foot goes forward, right? Yeah, that's where we were. Okay, again, making sure you're not putting too much pressure on that sits bone, hamstring connection. And we're going to find our little pelvic tilt. In the asymmetrical seat, it's much harder to find bigger range. And again, we're not necessarily seeking that. Can you find your wagon wheels here? To some degree? Again, the left hip is going to be probably not as heavy as the right hip. If it's severely lighter, sit higher. This is not what we're looking for, right? We want to sit fairly effortless. 2 more. Pelvis tilts back, both sits bones doing the same thing at the same time. And then pull the block behind you. And 1 more time. Very good. And then we'll staying in our forward tilt, soup away, softening the kidneys. Again, there is a little, I'm coming forward. It's a little Heimlich maneuver, although I heard yesterday that Heimlich maneuver is not the technical term anymore. I forgot what it is, but it's that, right? We want to hug our ribs a little bit back. And here we are. We're going to take our right hand up. We're going to shift the ribs to the right. And we're going to side bend to the left. Push the right knee more down. Stick your butt generally, sit out and drop the kidneys. And then maybe your hand goes down, but maybe not. So this is not big because you are anchoring through here. If we were going to the other side, this could be really big, right? Because my hip is not anchoring. But I'm going against, so I'm using the power and the stability in my pelvis to now make it fully a side bend and a rib movement. And shifting the ribs more to the right is going to counteract me just stretching here and crunching here. I want to keep the length in both sides. And not touching your hand will make you work harder. Because this is, again, always more, oh yeah, I'm hanging out. We're not hanging out, at least not for another 3 minutes. Breathing here coming up. You can put both hands onto your upper arm bones, shift the ribs to the right, engage your right butt, push that right knee down, pull the thigh into the hip joint at the same time, turn on both legs, both buttocks and side bend. And if you feel a stretch, and this is my tighter side here, I have to almost say, I'm holding it back a little more, and then feel how much more work that is in your butt. And that's good. We want the butt to work. Coming back up, I'm repeating myself, but the more often you hear this, the better it's going to sink in. And then side bend, last one. Maybe my arms reach. Maybe I'm doing something completely weird with my arms. And let's turn the head here. Turning it up and down. You're looking over your left shoulder. Keep drawing the right shoulder blade a little back and the right kidney a little back and the right sit bone a little back. Rounding the spine. Turn on your butt more. Push that block down and back, or whatever you're sitting on. And then slowly come up and feel that. And maybe, hopefully, your breath is now just more expanded. Okay, very good. So let's